Esther Hicks says, you can't believe a belief that goes against your desire. You can't believe a belief that goes against your desire. This is why, as CSA survivors, we have got to be honest. We've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to be honest with others. We've got to be honest about the negative parts, things that have manifested in our lives directly tied to our interpretation of and our experience of what happened to us. And on an intellectual level, it becomes easier over time to figure those things out. But on a heart and gut level, it's still incredibly complicated. Hence the CPTSD. And one of my friends the other day was like, "What is the C?" After all this time, she didn't know. She's like, "C. The C is complex. That means that you had a trauma that happened repeatedly, and particularly at the time when you are a child. You may also be young enough child, any kind of a child where your brain development is still happening, and you literally, if you are subjected to repeated trauma, rather, whether it's being sexually assaulted or groomed or food insufficiency or living with an abusive parent in other ways, just being a child of wonderful parents in a war zone. I mean, repeated trauma changes the way that your brain grows. And if you were a child when you were sexually assaulted or whatever other trauma, I typically deal with that, but I find that I talk to a lot of people with other types of PTSD these days too. So all inclusive here, that trauma experience is so overwhelming that we split our response in two, just like we used to split our personalities in two, to dissociate and deal with what was going on, but still come out the other end. We're a walking, talking, card-carrying human being in our societies, right? We learn to split. Well, we're still splitting. And what I'm working with you to do is what I've been working with myself and my own therapist, of course, to do, which is put my sides back together. To put the side of me that is warm and loving and giving and trusting and outgoing back together with the side of me that has all of my walls up, all of my defenses, that's hypervigilant, that can't sleep, that experiences the PTSD. And it was such a struggle, and it typically is, that when we're not trying to be perfect, we're going away and being very imperfect. We're drinking or drugging or leading double lives. CSA survivors are often closet alcoholics, closet pill takers. They're not the ones that are falling down drunk. They're the ones that are running the goddamn PTA with pills and wine. And we make jokes about it. It's like funny in our society. Yeah, wine mom. I do it myself. I am self-proclaimed wino. Can't afford to be a scotcho. Just saying, I too enjoy some liquor, but that's one of the things I had to, among many others, I had to educate myself as to the fact that I was crossing lines and using it at times when what I really wanted to do was escape. And so I've spent plenty of party hours of my life that really would have better served me would have been to think about the things that were bothering me and do the trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy that I have done and continue to do now, in order to take my jumbled up sensations of memories and clarify them and put them into my filing cabinet in my brain, so I no longer have to explode from the heart and gut every time it rears its ugly head. So this is what getting a grip on CPTSD is. It's not stopping the event from beginning, it's stopping it from continuing. It's stopping it from continuing. So some people are depressed and upset, and I've been told, well, I don't want to work with you if you're going to be like that. But it's just the truth when I tell you, and it shouldn't hurt. So don't let this be like a Debbie Downer moment. You don't graduate from survivor school. Surviving is a verb. It's a thing you're going to do. And you can do it well, or you can just get by, or you can do it full of hate and vengeance. You can do it well with a little bit of hate and vengeance. That's where I'm at. I'm no saint, and I don't want to be. No one's ever going to like I would never have got on with anything. I've got a business going to be 5 months old next month, feelgoodfairtrade.com. If I'd have listened to the haters, if I'd have thought I had to have love in my heart before I could do something good for other women in this world and buy their products and sell them, then I wouldn't be doing it. I've moved on through everything, and one thing I can tell you is that I never have, and I never think I will get over that, but that's not the focus. And my point is, educate yourself as to where you fit in the world. Welcome to the club. You're a CSA survivor. It's the club nobody wanted to be in, as I always say, but here we are. So let's learn. Let's learn from each other. 20 years ago, when I first started counseling, I didn't even know I needed it. Marriage counseling turned into sexual abuse, which I will call assault counseling now, and even my therapist agrees with me that we need to change the language of society and stop using weak words like abuse when we mean assault, because assault is a big thing. CPTSD. What is CPTSD? It's complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. Complex is applied to those who have PTSD, which is very similar across types, but it becomes complex if it was repeated, if the trauma was a repeated, repetitive thing, and if it happened, though there are adults, I think, who fit in this, it's generally applied to children, because when you're a child, what adds to the complexity for those treating it is that it actually changes the brain structure and the brain development. So as when an adult is subjected to repeated trauma, if their brain has already grown a certain number of connections and all, while you can mess with it, they generally don't suffer or develop the extreme dissociation that develops with people like me, who was an adolescent, and even worse for children who their sexual assaults began at younger ages, that 5 to 8 range. The dissociation becomes so routine, even for me, where it didn't begin till I was 10 or 11. That's when I began having to separate what was happening from the ideal me, from the me who was perfect straight A student, honor society, candy striper, Girl Scout. I tried really hard for seat flautist. I was always trying really hard to make up for the fact that I was dirty little scum in my own mind, but that's because my ex-brother-in-law groomed me to think of myself basically to belong to him physically, and trained me what to do from a very young age. And I was an unwilling participant, but never said no, never said stop. I'm not going to say I never said stop, but I quickly learned to dissociate and not fight, and that's the complex. That's what I'm getting at. So you have to, there are actual, things, like I was talking about trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. It can be a life changer, shown to have permanent results. And it's simple, but it's intense, because the stuff you try and never ever to think about, the stuff you fight out of your mind and do whatever to just escape it, once you start thinking about it, it can bring up painful events, and you can fly into CPTSD events. And so for a person who has extreme bouts of CPTSD, I'm recommending you have, you know, a person you trust with you. You need to be in a peaceful, safe place with somebody who knows what you're about to do before you delve into allowing your mind to run down those trails. When you get the thought that you try to suppress, and then you either successfully suppress it or you have a CPTSD event, which allows you to go crazy, which is another form of suppression. That's why we like to go crazy. We love freaking out, even though we say we don't. And consciously, I would say I don't. But in the moment that I would let myself go full freak out, it's an escape. It's an escape from pain. And you would much rather escape that pain, even if it means going full on crazy and throwing shit and blacking out and trying to kill somebody, all of which I've done. I went to the doctor less than 2 weeks ago for the first time in years and said, I'm got so many factors going on in my life right now. And I've said straight up, no antidepressants. Let me tell you right now, don't stop taking yours if you're on them, but talk to your doctor, because PTSD and CPTSD are not depression. It's not the same thing. And being treated for depression is going to suck a whole bunch of other life out of you. You don't need to be losing your sex life. You need to be learning about intimacy. You need to be learning to celebrate your body and your partner and your orgasms and not be scared and not always try to be something for somebody else. And these antidepressants, they're making it comfortable for everybody else to deal with you. You're not dealing with your shit. I recommend dealing with your shit. Again, I'm not a doctor. Talk to a doctor. If you're on antidepressants, don't stop taking them. That's dangerous. But definitely have the discussion as to, is this what you really need? Or maybe you should be straight up about your past, and maybe, like I wasn't for years. I married and divorced 3 times and didn't talk about it. Maybe it's time to face up and fess up and get off your antidepressants and get, for me, I went to the doctor. I got something that's new to me, that's CPTSD, or PTSD specific. It's for people with PTSD and insomnia, because I haven't slept more than 3 hours a night in 30 years, for real. And I've tried every sleeping thing in the book. But this is working. I'm getting 6 hours of sleep a night, solid. And it's not, it's like a calcium reuptake inhibitor, but it's not an antidepressant. It's not something you have to take every day. And I really, really like it. I'm terrible with names. If I didn't say it before, I was recently diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which comes as a big relief to me. It explains everything. And now I have an excuse for everything too, as my children will tell you. From the genius IQ, not bragging, just saying, to, and I take it all the time to be sure, the Mensa one. I'm not messing around with tickle. To just not being like able to handle certain textures and touches, and I've got a no bullshit approach to life. I can't lie. I have no filter, you know. So a woman with Asperger's syndrome, raised by a preacher, and here I am trying to save the world. I hope you're going to join me. I do. Do you get any sun during the day? I have a broken foot. No matter how much sun I get, it just doesn't matter. I actually have illuminator on right now, and it's a shade darker than me. This is more accurate. But I love sun. I love sun, and I get as much as I can. But I have a broken foot right now and a damaged ligament in my knee. And I run my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, full time. And then I also just founded a charity. But out of a need for more money, because people aren't buying fair trade artisan gifts so much since the pandemic, and I lost my advertising money due to a series of unfortunate events with unemployment, who owe me over $14,000 since last July. They admitted it, and they haven't paid me yet. So I'm like in this crunch, hence going to the doctor too, because trauma compounds, and because I've got all these outside stressors, including a landlord who was sexually harassing the hell out of me. And then I fell down his steps. Now he's trying to evict me, and I'm like, hell no. You know, and I talked to personal injury lawyers, and they're like, oh no, he could be responsible for it. Anyway, it's like, I don't like fights like that. I don't want to be like that. I just want more people to shop at Feel Good Fair Trade again. We have 5 years solidly open and a great reputation. I never bothered with all the like review stuff, and I've never done an email list ever. It's just been word of mouth and direct, social media advertising. But now it's all different. We quit Facebook advertising completely and we quit Facebook and Instagram paid advertising, and we're going completely native. So I do need you guys to spread the word about feelgoodfairtrade.com, because that helps me. And I did get myself some hydroxyzine, which is the same class as Benadryl and Zyrtec, but it has an added, and they don't know why, which is always scary, but an added, for some reason, effect, while not messing you up any more than a Benadryl, it has the added effect of enhancing your serotonin levels, and just a bit. And so that's something I can take once in a while when I'm feeling anxious, and I'm not opposed to that. So even though I preach pretty much don't be medicated, I want to be straight up honest that once in a while, if you're having trouble, if you're doing some kind of, maybe you're doing trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy and you're feeling really stressed about it, maybe a little back pocket medication isn't a bad thing. Before I was a school bus driver, I was not opposed to a little THC. And then I became a part-time school bus driver to supplement all of this other. And then I broke my foot and now I can't drive. But I'm hopeful to get back. So now I'm mostly addicted to coffee. That's my thing. But anyway, get any sun during the day. I wish you did. Hello. Hi, Tammy. Tammy, are you from my hometown? Are you Tammy from one of the Tammys from, because you have a name. I'm from Herman, Missouri. Es ist ein kleinen deutschen Volk, wohin die alten Volk sprechen Deutsch nur an der Straße. Und ich lerne Deutsch, wann ich bin ein Kinder. Grew up in Herman, Missouri. It's a little German town, if you didn't figure that out already. So, I started this TikTok thing recently to work out my book. And my book is SPADES. My main book is Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. Originally named To Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse. And then that's when I was like, this isn't abuse. Being raped is assault. And we call it abuse, and people get away with stuff. And I don't like it when they get away with stuff. You know what? Okay. To beat the dead horse, Will Smith and Jada. Now, my first reaction was, hey, what's wrong with him popping him? He was rude to his wife, okay? My second response was, oh, wait, that's rude. Comedians may not know when they're crossing the line. And I took media law, and it was a big section on media, media law as it applies to comedians and pundits, right? And so I backed down and went, okay, shouldn't have punched him. That was wrong. And then it's like Jada. No one likes Jada, I guess. I don't keep up with this stuff. And it's like, okay, she's a bitch. Okay, she's controlling him. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And so then there's that. And he laughed first and then saw Jada and had to do it because she made him. And I'm just like sitting there going, okay, everyone, I don't know any of either one of them personally. And I haven't followed the background to know what Jada has not done, except we've all by now seen the infamous sitting at the table and, oh, she destroyed Will. It's like, and that's all utter bullshit. So I have to call it. Leave Jada alone and out of this. Whatever their nature of their relationship, that's fully understood between them. And it's just how we like to demonize women. And even women are demonizing women, right? Jada didn't make Will do nothing. If Will is pushed around by Jada, no, Will is accepting a relationship where he is controlled by Jada, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just saying, if that's the case, we all make our own conscious decisions and choices. And so, if Jada had a funny look on her face, that did not instruct Will to go punch him or else, okay? So then, this spun off into everyone talking about it, and I'm trying to think of which comedian. It might have been Seth Rogen. but might not have, but was saying that, or Bill Maher, I don't know. One of them was saying that we expect our women to control us and stop us. That Jada should have stopped him from doing a dumbass thing, and that we all need our wives to stop us. Who amongst us, he says, hasn't had their wife stop them from doing some dumbass thing because we're men and we're like that? And I'm just like, are you pathetic or what? That's pathetic. So part of my educating and advocating this week is don't listen to that dumbass shit, okay? Think about everything. Like, I had to go through my mental hurdles too of immediately thinking opposite of what I really do when I thought about it, because I am conditioned, and I'm looking at the ways I'm conditioned. I used to be conditioned to accept being called little girl, to the point that I named my alter little girl when I met her in therapy 20 years ago for the first time. And it's because my first husband used to baby talk me, and he used to call me little girl in the bedroom and other places. And he thought that that was cute. And I didn't understand, I knew it drove me nuts, his baby talking, to the point that I fell out of love with him. I loved him, but I fell out of being in love with him quickly because of the baby talk. And I tried to accept that I was married, that he was a good guy, that he was kind, and whatever, but I couldn't stand to have sex with them. And then it turns out later, I put it all together. I did the math more recently, and I've realized it's because I'm not a little girl, and being referred to as a little girl on the heels of being a childhood sexual assault survivor was gross and disgusting, but in a way that even I didn't understand yet. So I want to spread the understanding that I've gained, so maybe you can get there sooner. You can get there sooner than I did, because I've become so blessed with, I blessed myself. I don't believe in outside blessings, but I blessed myself, and the universe blessed me. I guess I do believe in outside blessings, just not conscious ones. I believe that we all manifest our reality, and we have to accept the things we cannot change, if you want to get biblical. But it's just damn good advice, like most of the 10 Commandments. Pretty good advice. It doesn't really matter where they came from, does it now? Take the good, on a tangent here, but take the good from your religion, but reject the bad. And we're going to talk more about that. That's always part of educating and advocating, is don't accept cultures that marginalize women. That is not, they're disguising misogyny and slavery. They're disguised, and even murder. If you're an other, you don't even have it as good as a woman. You just get killed and removed, by your own family in a lot of places in this world. And if you're raped in a lot of places in this world, you get sold to your rapist because you're no good anymore. And your dad's going to give you away in a lot of places in this world anyway, whether it's big and fancy and you call it culture, or you're out in the woods and you're 14 years old and given to some man for a cow. That's the way that the world is working, and I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that, and I don't want you to be okay with that. So don't let culture disguise the real root of just being a bastard and an asshole to other human beings. Subjugating women is not okay, and most women are subjugated. And if that isn't enough to drive you to pills to sleep at night, I don't know what is. It worked for me. That being said, on a happier note, I did meet my altar, and I did learn that I had been giving, and I cut it off. I spent 14 years without a date. Plenty of opportunity. Kept someone around for sex that I was not mentally intimate with. And at that point, I still did not understand that intimacy and sex went together. I had had intimate relationships, and I had had sexual relationships, but I had never had an intimate sexual relationship until my current partner, my forever partner. And in doing so, you know how you don't know what you're missing until you find it? Well, again, it's a teaching moment. While it's wildly personal, I'm sharing it because it's also a teaching moment. I don't want you to get married and divorced 3 times, or worse yet, to stay in a bad relationship or one where you're not fulfilled just because you think you oughta or you don't know better. CSA survivors tend to try to live up to other people's standards. We tend to feel inherent shame, and we tend to try to be perfect for other people, and that spills over into the bedroom, where we tend to try to make other people happy, and if they're happy, we're happy. So we hook up with narcissists. It's the buzzword, but that's because it's true. We hook up with narcissists, survivors, just all the time. All the time, until you learn not to. All that glitters is gold, and because you're so busy trying to be perfect, you glitter pretty brightly too. And narcissists also want the glittery thing. We want the glittery thing, and we want the glittery best thing that we see in our world to want us, because that makes us okay. And they want us glittery thing because we strive for perfection, and we strive to we get our perfection out of making them happy, and they really like that. You know, narcissists do. Until they don't. And then you're the bad guy. Then you're in this, why can't I live up to this person who used to love me so much? I have now done something wrong. I'm not as good as I used to be. What is it, my thighs? What am I doing wrong? So this is the mindset I want you to just freaking throw away. Just get rid of it. Go away. You can't think like that. You can, but it's not going to serve you, and it's not going to lead you to your own happiness. And your own happiness is what's left when you start removing from your life everything that doesn't fit, everything that doesn't feel right. You know, that doesn't mean you have to throw out your marriage immediately or whatever. I'm just saying, strive for true, honest intimacy, and realize that that if you're not having a physical reaction one way or the other to your partner, whatever sexes you both are, I don't care, whatever genders, however, we're all people as far as I'm concerned. But you should have what I call an animal attraction for somebody. Otherwise, they're friends. And someone was asking me on Quora, what is an age to find a woman who would agree to a sexless marriage? And I'm just like, a smart one, never, ever. I'm 50-something, and I wouldn't dream of not having sex every single day if at all possible. My partner's in another city, so I have to, like, get creative or meet in the middle, and I am switching my life to move there, in part because I want to have sex every day. People, if you don't feel physically attracted to your partner, there's something going on there that's, you know, what I would call a friendship. And if that's good enough, if that's all you want in life, okay. But if somebody, you know what, this came up. I shouldn't even go here. I don't have a filter. That never stops me, I guess. Getting into weird conversations, conjugal relationships with prisoners came up. And conjugal rights then in law it led to. And like, that someone said it was archaic that men, they said, but that men or women could have conjugal rights as a reason for a divorce. And I'm like, hell yeah. If my partner doesn't want to make me physically feel pleasure and join in on it with me, bye-bye. You know, and that's not about how great your penis works or anything or whatever. That's just, there's plenty of ways to do that. But if my partner wasn't interested and I wasn't interested, I'd call them a friend, and I wouldn't sully the term marriage with a friendship. But when I really look and examine society, it's disgusting, really, to me, that most marriages seem to be constructs. They seem to be people maintaining something for the kids, or something for the status quo, or the religion, or worse, they were arranged marriages, and it's all, just about procreating for the religion. And it's just so sad. It's so sad, because once you've had a real orgasm with a partner who's having a real orgasm with you, and you actually love and respect each other too, and you have an out-of-body experience, and or go, what the hell just happened? And then it happens again and again and again and again, always, and you're just like, wow, everyone would be a lot happier if they did that. You know? Everyone should have the opportunity to do that. But we set it up to where women are, not only do we have so little opportunity as a whole in this world to seek our own pleasure, but like I get called a slut and a wench and a whore because I talk about seeking my own pleasure, and that you should too. The men in this world, some of the men in this world would like to tell you that that makes you a bad person. So don't let the men in the world tell you that you're a bad person for wanting your own happiness, your own pleasure, because a real partner, be it man, woman, human, a real human partner worth having would be so glad that you are seeking your own pleasure, because they would know that that's the only way that they're going to receive the best from you. And that's a real interaction. Otherwise, you're living in a construct. If your sex doesn't give you orgasms, you're living in a construct. It's not real. You can love someone and not be in love with them. If that's enough for you, okay. That will never be enough for me. Never. I'm in love with my partner. And it was the thing that made me understand that was chemical. He got through my brain. They had to get in my mind and my brain. And then they got something going in me, physical, chemical. And it made me wonder why I never felt that before. I've been married and divorced 3 times. It's not like I'm some virgin. I've got 3 kids. Why didn't I ever feel that before? I was trying to figure out, you know? And then I figured it out. I figured it out. I thought about it and talked to my therapist about it too. And it's like, because I never, as a CSA survivor, I was raped. I was raped and sodomized in one night. It was horrible and painful. I had to deal with that. I don't remember ever thinking on a chemical level about sex. I thought of sex as a performance art. And when I got to the point that, like, okay, I trust this person enough that I can have sex with them without hating it, and I can, you know, do my part, and when they get off now, I've done my part. That made me happy because I had accomplished what I was supposed to accomplish. That's what I thought sex was. And in discovering that for myself, I started asking other CSA survivors about that question. And I'm finding more often than not, they agree with me and haven't experienced, or at least didn't experience, intimacy on that level until they got a grip on their own sexuality and their own needs, until they realized that they had to break patterns of just trying to live for everybody else. So if you do nothing else, tell yourself that you deserve, not because of anything you've done or haven't done, but just because you exist on this planet, that somehow stardust led to you. What are the odds? So shouldn't you have your best possible life? Shouldn't you? You know? That's where religion tries to control people, isn't it? They like to throw this power trip on. It's like, oh, we're living for the next life, not this one. Don't worry about how sucky it is here. Give us your money, work really hard for the master, whatever, be pious. You don't get orgasms. You're just a woman. You're no better than a slave in most of the world, whatever. This is the way it is in most of the world. So every time I'm glad that I'm a woman in America, I'm still pissed off at how bad we have it. Call me live every day. He's outside or downstairs. He wants to know if I took a battery pack out of the car. And I'm like, okay. That's my little baby boy, my 17-year-old. I have 3 boys, and I prayed to whatever God may or may not exist, whatever forces that be, that I not manifest a girl. I did not want a daughter. I was terrified to have a daughter, and I did not have a daughter. Now I have My partner has a daughter, and she's amazing. She's bright and brilliant and talented, and super excited about having a daughter now. And my partner said that I would have made a good mom, and that made me feel good too, because I didn't think I'm a good mom to a daughter. I'm a good mom to 3 sons, though, more or less. I mean, I tried to be. I kept a roof over their heads, largely by myself. Entirely by myself. But I made sure that my boys aren't going to grow up and be abusive or assaulting to women and others. Our family, I think our family is moving and shaking as far as representing for change in the future. And I hope you are too. I hope yours is too. That's what you should do. All right. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. I love Jesus. I think Jesus was a good dude. Jesus, according to what I feel, is most probable, having technically died and I don't know what you call technically, having left my body, not breathed for 4 minutes, left my body, saw myself from the top of the room, felt like I was thrown through shattered glass into a place that was dark and bright at the same time. There were entities there, but they were formless, but I could still tell where they were. Very interesting stuff that happened. And so I believe that I will, and that we do maintain our conscious self, our sense of self, and our individuality, and our associations continue beyond this life and beyond this body. And so in that sense, Jesus joins a whole lot of other great people. And there were, I'm sure, for every Jesus, I'm sure there were thousands of equally wonderful movers and shakers and lovers of humanity who didn't end up famous for one reason or another. So all of them are in what I would call the collective consciousness, the universal force that I consider to be the God force, and the force of knowledge that we can all tap into. So, yeah, thanks. I think Jesus does love me, and I also love Jesus, among a lot of other people. So, cool. And got a perv. Yep, trolls will be blocked. So, but let's play with the perv. Almost there. Permission to finish, please. So, someone comes on here, and that's what they, that's their contribution. I would like to educate and advocate that everybody here look up this person that's comment says almost there, permission to finish, please, and find them. Figure out who they are and punish them to the best of your ability. I am all for vengeance, and there are some people that just need vaporized on this planet. And while I would never actually kill anybody, I sure wish I had a vaporizer gun to make those who are really just out to ridicule and hurt women's and others' place in the world really should be canceled, I guess is what we call that now. I think we call that canceled. Hey, Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Is this my new, oh no, that's Jess. My new friend, Jess. Hey, it is going on 5 o'clock. I'm going to wrap up here, and we're going to wrap up educating and advocating tomorrow. It's also tax day. There's a chance I may not be here tomorrow, but I'll try to be here tomorrow. Don't want to mess up the algorithm and all that. Do support feelgoodfairtrade.com, please, because I buy from women artisans, and we will be 5 years old next month. And we've got new sweet merchandise going up for the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. Pretty excited about that, and I need to work on it. So I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye. Oh, and subscribe to join our Zoom group.